you ever get tired of seeing the same old chapters being featured across the JoyToy lineup, such as, unfortunately, the Vanilla Ultramarines, the Vampiric Blood Angels, and the Imperial Fists? Don't you want some variety? Well, I'm here to tell you we are going to get some variety in the very, very near future. And to start off this variety, we are going to be taking an in-depth look at one chapter that is full of emo boys. What chapter we're talking about? Obviously, we are going to be taking a look at the Raven Guard today. I only bought 2 action figures from this line, but I think they are very indicative of what the Raven Guard look like. So, you know what? Let's get to the review.
Let me take you on a trip around the world and back. And you won't have to move, you just sit still.
Emo Boy number 1 ahead of us, and we will take a look at Emo Boy very, very closely. What do we have here? Well, we have obviously a Raven Guard Primaris Intercessor, and we are looking at the helmet area. And I will actually straight off the bat tell you that this is probably the most, I suppose plain is the only word that I can use to describe it, action figure that JoyToy has ever probably put out. What I mean by the fact is that I'm looking at the overall composition of this action figure, and there's really no highlights or any kind of, well, it's impossible to shade black, but there are really no highlights on this thing to actually help differentiate the panels. So it kind of looks at first like a McFarlane action figure, I'll be honest with you. But that being said, let's take a look at what's going on here. So you have your regular MK10 helmet over here, and it looks completely standard with really nothing too much standing out. The pauldrons are excellently screened. You want to flip on to the other pauldron, then you see the Raven Guard icon over here, and you do see a lot of shading where the recesses of the feathers of the wings are. And then moving on to the chest piece, you have a gunmetal looking symbol on this action figure. So there's nothing going on with this part of the arm. Flip over here, you get to see a nice instrument panel on this side. So this is obviously painted a silver, and you have a flat red and flat green color on this side. So accessory wise, you get a bunch of characteristic pouches that we've seen all throughout the JoyToy Space Marine lineup. This is not highlighted, nor is it actually shaded from what I've seen before in the past. This is clearly the Raven Claw over here that I'm going to actually pop out of this guy's belt so we can take a look at it a little bit more carefully, because this is a unique piece that we have not seen quite yet. I do like the texture of the claw over here, and it kind of mimics, well, the scales of a actually chicken's foot. So you have your company designation down here on the right kneecap, and then we're going to flip over to the other side, and the only other differentiation is these silver areas down here. All right, let's take a look at the bolt rifle and see what's going on with it. Doesn't appear that you can actually detach this thing. This is completely glued on and solid. But I do, again, like the detail of this bolt rifle. You got the black casing, the silver accents on this rifle, as well as the bronze color of the bolt round ammunition. And then you get a strap that this Space Marine can loop around his shoulder. It is made of a soft plastic material. Take a look at the bolt pistol, and the bolt pistol pretty much reflects the same thing that we saw on the bolt rifle. Put this down, and this is obviously the holstered version of the bolt pistol with a purity seal that's hanging out over here. I really like the look of this chainsword. Once again, you get a variety of different colors. There's a high contrast of this red compared to this, I suppose, casing of this chainsword. And finally, the bread and butter of this whole entire thing is why I got this guy, is the bare head. Look at how emo he is, how much teenage angst that he has. No, seriously, this is a very, very interesting looking head. Look at the sneer that's going on right here. And I do like how the lips are actually colored a pale pink. And obviously, because it's Raven Guard, This guy is a very, very pasty looking white color. And taking a look at the eyes, this one looks fairly well screened. I'm not exactly too sure what happened in this one, if this is purposely done. It kind of looks like the eye is a little bit too far up in the forehead region for some odd reason. Maybe that's just my take on it. You let me know in the comments section what you think about that. So we're going to put this down and then move on to the second intercessor.
Now let your mind do the walking, and let my body do the talking. Let me show you the world in my eyes.
All right, we have the second emo boy in front of us, and we're going to lightly touch upon this and just look at the differences from the first one versus the second one. The helmet area is completely the same. The pauldrons are also completely the same. The chest area is also 100% similar. Also, even the variety of pouches that this intercessor has is completely the same compared to his brethren. The only thing that's actually fairly different is this little icon over here, which I believe is a box that is holding a skull of a raven, which is very interesting. So you can see the beak over here, which is black, and then obviously the box itself is a gunmetal color, and then finally this top of the head is a interesting looking bone color. Let's take a quick look at the back, and yes, everything is 100% similar to his emo brethren. We're going to do a very quick overview of all the weapons because, again, this is the same bolt rifle, the same bolt pistol, 100% the same chain sword, the holstered bolt pistol, 100% the same, and of course is the legendary MK10 backpack, which is also the same. The only thing that's different is obviously Emo Boy number 2's face. So once again, the Raven Guard has a very pasty looking face, very pale and very vampiric. You've got very pasty looking lips over here with barely any life on it, which is very cool that they've completely captured the whole entire ethos and the whole entire image of the Raven Guard. And you obviously have a bionic eye that's going on over here, and this area back here is actually very interesting. It looks like it's some sort of metallic dark black color, and it has a bunch of instrument panels on the back here, as well as a light over here. So the only thing that I'll still comment on is the eyes are actually very well screened on this one. It is a piercing and staring black. So as we do in our other videos, we will now proceed to arm this Space Marine with his various accoutrements here. The first thing that we need to do is pop out the head, and it is a ball and socket joint that is fairly easy to pop out. Sometimes the ball joint gets left in, so we can either leave it in and pull this part out, which is what I'm going to do, and then pop the head in. Very easy. And then this one, I'm going to, let's just say, wield a bolt rifle with one hand, like that. And then the other hand is going to be the one that's going to be wielding the chainsword. So we're going to unfurl this guy's fingers right here. And then finally, what we need to do is put the backpack on, like so. And done. We are going to do the exact same thing with Intercessor number 1. So pop off the head. This time, the ball joint came out, so we can just directly snap the head in. Look at how angry he is. And this guy, we are going to have his bolt rifle slung around the shoulder right here. Very easy to do. He's also going to be wielding his chainsword on his left-hand side, like so. And then finally, we are going to have him wield his bolt pistol on his right-hand side. And it is perfectly snug, and look at how nicely this wraps around the trigger, which is a big improvement from what JoyToy had been doing before for the early version 2 figures. And finally, we are going to put the backpack on. And now we have two perfectly reviewed emo boys. And you know what? As I actually have a wide variety of Space Marines at my disposal, I'm going to do a very, very quick comparison of another black armored Space Marine coming from the Black Templars chapter. So we obviously have these guys side by side next to each other, and you can already tell that there is a marked difference between the Black Templar one versus the Raven Guard one. I feel as if they put a little bit more effort in the Black Templar one. So if you look at the Black Templar one side by side with this Raven Guard one, look at the highlighting that is done. You see a light white airbrush that's going on all the other armor panels that are here. So that's why I said when I was reviewing this thing looks a little bit flat compared to this guy. There's more life and more depth on him. And the same thing basically goes everywhere on this action figure. You want to compare the helmets. This one almost looks like a black with a light white mist on it. And like I said, with all the other different accoutrements on this thing, if you want to look at the accessory pouches, these are obviously highlighted and this one is not. So I'm not exactly sure if JoyToy is going to go with this route with the look with black armored figures, or they're just going to have the look of the Black Templars one. In my opinion, I hope they go for this one rather than this one. So anyways, now let's conclude the video.
The emo boys. So based on my review, what did you all think about these action figures? Just leave me a comment in the comments section and let me know. So what do I actually think about these action figures? Well, I would have to say that they are generally pretty cool in my opinion. I really like how the faces are very unique and distinct, and they reflect perfectly the Raven Guard chapter. However, I'll have to say that, again, this whole entire lineup is nothing that we haven't seen before from JoyToy when they have cranked out basically the Ultramarines, the Imperial Fists, as well as the Blood Angels. We've seen these intercessors be, well, there's nothing much you can do about it, but literally recycled over and over again. So would I actually recommend getting these action figures? Obviously, if you're not a Raven Guard fan, you would probably not want to get these action figures. Another thing is that, well, if you want to be a completionist, of course you can get these action figures as well. But overall, I would have to say there's really nothing too major that's going to differentiate these guys from, let's just say, your Black Templars, aside from, again, those very, very distinct faces that I really like, and that's exactly why I opted to get these two action figures as opposed to the other two. So anyways, this is Screws and Studs. Again, thank you so much for tuning in each and every single week. If you're a fan of variant chapters, well, there's going to be more that's going to be coming out, such as the Iron Hands and the Salamanders. So expect those reviews to drop whenever the heck JoyToy decides to drop those as well. So thank you again for watching. Please subscribe if you like what you see, and then I'll see you all in the next one.